Hello, welcome to Soulprint Insights. I'm really excited you're here today. I'm really looking forward to doing this channel. I have never channeled on this particular question before, so I really not sure what kind of insights or information we're going to get. I'm really excited because I'm going to be doing this channeling today on what goes on between our lifetimes, that period of time between when we leave a physical plane and when we return again in physical body. Now, I know that there are some disciplines out there who really believe that we return rapidly, almost like you leave one body and you immediately jump into another body. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but I am saying that all the choices we make are free will choices. So I can pass from this lifetime and I may choose to spend the equivalent of 500 years on the other side, floating in the clouds and doing whatever work it is that we can do there. So, and again, 500 years to us is simply a man-made time. Time is only relevant to the place and space that you are in. Always remember that. Okay, so let's see if we can find out what goes on between physical lifetimes. Um, Atticus is still there having his afternoon nap. So good boy, Atticus. Um, and as usual, all channeled information is copyrighted to me under my personal name. So, Masudius, what do we do? What occupies the soul's time and energy when we are between physical lifetimes? What goes on? What does that look like? What do we do? Well, greetings. We're very, very happy and excited to once again join you and the Soulprint community. And we're always very excited when you have questions for us and that we can give you some guidance or insights. Okay, so we thank you very much for this opportunity, and we look forward to sharing what we can and what we know with you. So, let us start first with a quick summation of what typically happens when you leave a physical lifetime. What happens when you go into the light? Well, first of all, you are able to have many, many sort of opportunities to take a look at, the situation and figure out if you actually are ready to leave that physical life. So, um, you know, near-death experiences, right? People who, um, like weren't all that sick, but then they go. People who are really sick and don't seem to be ready to go, that kind of hang on. There's a purpose for that. There's a reason for that. There's things that they're trying to accomplish. So, once a decision has been made to, in fact, leave physical form, you then basically experience whatever it is that you believe you're going to experience. If you believe that you're going to heaven, then heaven is created for you. If you believe that you are going to hell, that is then created for you. If you believe that there are going to be loved ones who have already passed there to greet you, that is what's going to happen. And may we just say That is part of the reason that people who have some sort, any sort, there is not one right or only source, but when they have sort of a clear thought of what their expectations are, and they look forward to what is on the other side of the veil, they kind of look forward to discovering what that is. They just simply tend to have an easier time going into the light, generally speaking, because again, until life has completely passed the physical form, there are always choices, and those become made manifest. When you are dealing with people who, for example, really do not have any sort of a faith-based or just internally based idea of what awaits them, they tend to become very frightened because they either think nothing awaits them, and so they're kind of terrified for that life to end and everything to just stop and they just kind of cease. So it frightens them. It also frightens them if they believe that they are going into some sort of a purgatory, because, who in their right mind wants to do that? So there is even a slight variation and difference based on what you believe is going to happen and it actually happening. So at some point, you may, travel around, you may go to visit, childhood haunts, you might stay close to people that you are particularly worried about or concerned about. You can, and the thing is there are no limitations now. All you have to do is think a thought and you manifest it. So in one period of time, you might be with, your grandma. Um, and in another period of time, you might be with a grandchild who is still on the earth and you just choose to watch over. So there isn't a sense of stagnant. What happens is you are sort of enveloped in an absolute sense of freedom because you are no longer contained and housed within that physical form. So, and then comes the life review. And so what that is an opportunity where you basically relive your life. And you are able to experience the events of that lifetime, not only from your own perspective, which is how you experienced it in physical form, but in spiritual form and soul form, or energy form, you are able to experience what the other person experienced. Again, for good or bad. And as been said before, you will often be so surprised at the blessings that you bestowed on other people that you were literally not even aware of doing. And you may also equally be surprised by thinking that some minor event or minor slight on your part, you come to discover that it really had profound and a serious impact on the other person within that relationship dynamic. So once a life review happens and you start to think about what you do or don't want to do or what looks like going forward, very often people who have had really like sobering, I guess, life reviews often choose to spend some time in spirit form going forward. They want to I guess evolve. They want to have a better awareness of choosing differently, of making different choices. Or perhaps they decide that they want to give and share and help and support more than they ever did in physical reality. And that is where you get, guardian angels. That is where you get soul guides and spirit guides. Some of you choose to associate with those on Earth still. Some of you go into almost like a classroom environment where there's an evolution, the opportunity to grow and gain wisdom. Some of you simply go into almost like a suspended animation. And that allows for the soul to reflect and recharge and contemplate. And then at some point comes the preparation to return to another physical form. Now, understand that process between lifetimes can honestly be as short as hours and days, and sometimes it can take hundreds and hundreds of years as you count time on Earth. Because again, time is completely relative to the situation and the environment you are in. There is a great deal of growth and expansion that goes on within that time frame between physical realities. In fact, it is where a great deal of the soul's growth happens. You are in energy form, which means you have the ability to instantly manifest. It means you have the ability to get from place to place and situation to situation. You can look at things from literally being entrenched in the middle of them or from a bird's eye view. There is virtually nothing that limits what it is you might like to experience in that period of time. Now, we would just like to pass along just a cautionary note. Very, very often, and most of you have had this not only experience, but actual realization, an actual sense. Very often, people that we have loved in this lifetime um, and past, they come back. And they come back to us as, guardians or spirit guides, and they're there to help in whatever way. Very often, these are soul groups that, because of the physical earthbound love connection, you are actually able to communicate with in some ways more easily than other energy forms, because there is a familiarity, there is a just an energetic connection. But we caution you, if Uncle Joe was not a very nice person, and he had a lot of negative things to say about a lot of people, just because he has passed the physical realm does not make Uncle Joe wise and profound and all knowing. It doesn't work that way. If Aunt Mary was loving and kind and wise, she retains those traits, but she does not have a profound knowledge or insight as to how you should conduct your life or make the choices that you make. Understand that those who we have had around us in the physical form, in the physical life, really do retain their personalities. Now, they will often present younger, more attractive, Some of their more identifying, if you will, personality quirks come to the fore, and they become, sort of easier to recognize. And understand this: you know, you react with, you have had relationships with a million other souls. And some of them are not on the earth with you in this particular experience. And in fact, oftentimes you will see where a relationship that was particularly close in a physical experience, for whatever reason, when one person chooses to come back in physical form and the other one doesn't, for whatever reason, but there is a very sort of tight soul connection there. One person, one of those souls will actually step in as a protector, as a guardian, as one of the energy forms that surrounds you. So understand that your circle of people, of souls, of relationships, of interactions is so much more vast than than you can really imagine, because the world of energy is infinite. It's simply infinite. It goes on forever, and frankly has been around forever. Some souls have had almost all of their life experiences on this particular planet, on the planet you call Earth. Others have only had maybe a few dozen, maybe only a couple on the physical Earth, because their real home is somewhere else. But whether they chose to sort of stay within the earth energy, either in physical form or in spirit form, goes back to sort of soulprint decisions that were made. And the guidance that was looked for or hoped for is put into place. So those of you who feel that sometimes you're alone and you have no one, understand energetically, you have legions. Some are here now and some are not. They have a different role. And that doesn't mean that every person that you have a life experience with, you're going to repeat multiple times. You may have an experience with a specific soul that lasts 5 lifetimes. And then the lessons are learned, the realizations are met, and it's time to simply move on. But they still retain the energy of your soul group. So the choices of what goes on between lifetimes is so varied. Some of you choose to just simply leave the kind of earth energy and earth realm, and you go off back to your home galaxy, to your home universe. You play in the stars. You dance with the suns. You enjoy the freedom of being unrestricted by the physical. And you can have many, many tasks over many, many, what you would call years. Perhaps you might want to be a spirit guide to a particular person on the earth. When they choose to come in to the light, then that role is completed, and you will go on to play another significant role in other ways with other souls. And whether there are connections to this planet or others, whether they are connections to people you know now in this reality or not, the opportunities and the experiences are vast, and they're really the opposite of your physical existence. There is no physicality. Manifestation is instantaneous. You have access to insights, information, guidance that you were not able to access on your physical reality. And that provides many, many opportunities to, not only in some ways atone for previous experiences, but also to sort of plan or prep or prepare for future experiences. And ultimately, at some point, you decide that it is time and you want to return to physicality. And there's reasons for that. Um, in energy form, you are not physical, which means you do not experience physical sensations. You do not know physical joy, physical satisfaction. Um, the energy of the physical is simply not your reality on the other side of the veil. But at some point, you think, I'm ready to do another lifetime. And then that preparation starts. And again, that preparation can take decades or even longer as you measure time. But preparations start to make another return. There is a soul print put in place. There are conversations that go on with members of your soul group in terms of how they can help you, how you can help them, the roles that you're going to play. All of that starts to come together. But again, it is a fluid blueprint. Nothing is set in concrete. And so the preparations start so that you can return back to a physical realm and experience your energetic being, your soul, once again in physical form. Now, I just want to clarify something that we said earlier. It is very, very true that in reality, no soul leaves its physical existence too soon. But understand, what many see as tragedy, somebody else sees as a blessing. It's not really for anybody to judge anybody else in terms of what they should or shouldn't have done. And again, remember, sometimes the conscious mind and the soul's desire are not necessarily in sync. Sometimes the soul simply knows this is the time. We also want to clarify that for those who pass who are still very, very young, they are simply met by their guardians, by their guards at that moment of passing, and they are simply escorted back up to the divine. And just so you know, that same exchange or expression is often realized by those animals and pets that you have had that have interacted and been a part of your life. They are also guided to a place of safety, and they also will often come back, and sometimes in physical form, but very, very often energetically. They will stay around you as you work your way through the grieving process, as they are able to comfort you, even if in physical reality you can't feel it. So that is what we can tell you um, for this first, if you will, look at life between life. We hope you've enjoyed this. We again thank you for the opportunity to share our insights, guidance, and wisdom with you. It is our profound honor to do so. And we leave at this time, but not before we let you know that none of you stand alone. All of you are divine. All of you come from the light, and all of you return to the light. And even when you are in physical form, you are beings of light. We remain at this time, Masudius. Okay. Well, I hope you found that interesting, insightful. And I'm just going to leave it there. I'm just going to let you guys, take your time. You might want to listen to this a time or two, you process it, whatever works for you. But until I see you again, stand in your power and stand in your light. Bye for now.